afternoon, all. I wish you all a happy Rotary. Could you
Student,
please
please kindly put
mute
your mic in the
mute
mute
your
mode.
microphones? Yeah, thank you. So today we will, we have to cover a lot. Today being the last class, I'll start with the concept of religious conversion, and we'll take up few cases on the, we'll try to have a discussion on the concept itself, and then we are going to move on to the new religious movements which came up in the last century. We'll be discussing a few of them. Now I'll start your unit 22, that is with religious movement. So basically, whenever we talk about religious conversion, it's taken in a different light. People mostly they don't take it in a positive way, and there is a lot of controversy, lot of debate, and even we have heard of the Graham Stain case here in Odisha, which was a controversial issue, and it has its origin to the issue of conversion, according to some. So basically, what is this conversion, and why are we so critical about this thing? So if you just simply to look at this very concept, it's nothing but a process of complete change from one set of religion, ritual beliefs to another set. So it's just you are trying to take up a new belief system. You are trying to take up certain new practices and new ideas, but the thing is that it's not that easy. It's not easy because you will find its ripples among your family members, in your community, in the society where you live. So that's the reason, even the conversion has been going on for a very long period of time, still it still appears to be a controversial process. And conversion, itself, it has a lot of manifestation. It has different connotations. We cannot restrict this concept of conversion only to religion, but you will also see that, whenever you are trying to abandon existing set of belief and rituals that you have been taking up, and you are trying to, please mute your microphones, yeah, and you are trying to take up a new set. Uh, that's mostly we prescribe it to conversion, and in a secular sphere, conversion is basically a certain behavior where you are trying to
Ma'am,
take what, yeah,
ma'am,
yes,
ma'am, may I ask a question?
yes.
Sir, ma'am, what is the main motive of Max Weber, Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism?
Right now we are discussing conversion. I thought it would be pertaining to this. So what is your question? Basically, what you want to
Sir,
know?
ma'am, what is the motive of Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism? Weber main motive. What is the main motive of Weber, Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism?
Weber, there is no motive. You see, Weber is trying to draw a relationship between, economy and religion. He is trying to say that, a particular set of religion can actually give rise to a new set of economic system, because the religious values are such that it can fine tune the economy in a different way. And that's what, he has put so many comparative studies between different religions, and he is trying to say that, for example, he's giving the case of Calvinism, the set of Calvinism and Protestant ethics, and he says that, the belief system in that sect is such that it could give way to the spirit of capitalism. It could create a pathway for capitalism, which you will not find in other societies. For example, most of the Oriental religions, they are otherworldly. They believe that the worldly matters here are something which we really need not focus on. Our focus is basically on the outer, the inner aspect of the self. So that's the reason we don't give more importance to material aspect, whereas they could give. So basically, that's what Weber is trying to focus on. But Sadia, this is not the theme for today's class.
Yeah,
So
madam.
I'll keep it aside because we have to cover anyhow a lot of questions today, and this is going to be the last class. So let's focus on what I'm trying to teach now. If you have any doubts, you can write to me or you can ask me later.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So coming to conversion, you will see that basically whenever somebody who is trying to take up a new political party, somebody is trying to take up a new ideology, a belief system, we also say that okay, can we also say look at it in terms of a self. But when it comes to religious conversion, there is a lot of controversy arising with it. And many scholars, they believe that whenever religious conversion is there, uh, an individual is subjected to a certain kind of brainwashing. A certain kind of brainwashing is done for the person, and you tend to control his or her mind, and basically you are trying to make a shift ideologically. So it is on that basis that it's you're trying to take up a new set of ideas, a new set of rituals, a new set of beliefs. And that's how we look at conversion. And if you look at the very idea of religion, Malconi, I mean, he has worked immensely on religion, and he believes that whenever we talk about religion, it's a kind of a trans-empirical idea, because it is something which is beyond your empirical truth. It is not something that you can perceive through your five senses, but it is beyond that. And he says that religious conversion is completely different from other kinds of conversion. And uh, he is actually trying to bring about certain predispositions which start the conversion process. They could be an attempt to find certain answers to certain problems. I mostly, why do we take up a religion? We take up a religion because we believe that religion can give answer to certain problems, which which nobody can help me out. And when I believe that the existing set of belief system that I have adhered to has not been able to sort out or figure out my problems, and my life has been very tragic, so I would like to take a shift. I would like to take a shift, and I believe that there are new things, new ideas to which I am drawn towards, and I may go for it. And if there is a feeling of unhappiness and frustration, that goes you know that doesn't go away by any kind of secular mean. I always feel that I have been left out. Or for example, take the case of Dalits went for a case, for mass conversion into Buddhism, because they felt that Hinduism couldn't give them enough. Even if they were ardent followers, devotees, they were denied entry into the temple, so they were not given the kind of dignity of being a devotee. And then there are reasons that they believe that a religion that one lives with is not efficacious enough, so you need to find something else. So that there could be many reasons as to why one needs to go for conversion. And here you will see that Maloney feels that such attitudes, it leads the world to convert, and there are certain insecurities, certain attitudinal problems within a religion and within a cult. And some people, they become vulnerable, and they tend to, take up these new set of ideas. And you will see that Maloney has cited an example, and he believes that the religious preachers or the people who take up a cult, they basically target people who are always vulnerable. For example, if you look at the conversion practices, you will see that it's a practice mostly among the poor, and it was seen among the lower caste especially. The reason being that they were vulnerable. They were vulnerable with many things. They were facing certain structural inequality. They were psychologically low, and it was easy to target them. And that's what Maloney feels, that mostly the vulnerable groups are targeted. And Rambo has seen a phenomena, and he believes that there is always a catchment area of conversion as to people who would be converting, and in those places, and you are always on a lookout to seek people. You can find them, that okay, where does their frustration lie, and mostly they see that people from the same area have been converting, and they have a better life for themselves, so they can go for it. And Rambo also says that when somebody belongs to one religion and decides to convert to another, then he or she adopts a new, a complete ideological baggage, a new set of practices. Maybe ମୁଁ କାଲିକି ଯଦି ମୁଁ ମାନେ ଗୀତା ପଢୁଥିଲି, ତା ଆର ଦିନ ମୁଁ ଯାଇକି ଚର୍ଚ୍ଚ ରେ ବାଇବଲ ପଢୁଛି, the my entire belief system changes as a someone who is trying to convert. And there is a case, there can be cases of disorientation, because somebody who has newly converted, it will take time to recondition or reprogram to the newer religion. And that's the reason, mostly they people are asked to work with them, so that they to make them feel easy whenever they are trying to enter a new kind of a cult. And even Rambo points out that mostly conversion is seen in marriages of mixed type. When the parents they belong to different religions, and the child is in a state of confusion, and the child may take up any one. So in most cases, when he has taken up certain surveys, he could see this was also one of the reasons. And the reason being that there is a conflict of two religion in one marriage, that creates a situation which needs to be resolved, and conversion seems to be the way out. And then those who witness a conversion may sometimes feel shocked, that okay, how come he converted? See, his entire dress up has changed. Now he is using a different set of dialogue. People have this kind of an awe, or a an expression of shock for those people who try to convert. And it's mostly seen that uh, you know conversion, when you're trying in conversion, when you're trying to pursue a new religion, you have again a greater sense of commitment than before, because you're always under this scanner, that as a convert, how do you deal with this entire thing, how committed you are to the new community, to the new group. And at the same time, your entire family, your society, your community puts you under scanner. The family is always apprehensive कि अच्छा ये कौन କରୁଛି, why did the person convert. And so, is it possible ଗୋଟେ ଘରେ ରହିକି take up somebody, a member of your family, or somebody who is from your kinship group, any close relative of yours has taken up conversion, and you know about it. So what would be your reaction? So the most difficult thing is dealing with your near and dear ones, the community and the people, the family that you live with, when you take up conversion. And conversion, you will see that it's quite a complex issue. It's complex because there is when you are there is a new sort of expectation that comes up. And they don't they people expect different things from you. The community to which you have converted into, they expect you in a do certain things in a new way. And the faith that you have left behind, they also have certain expectations from you. And you will see that there are many types of responses to conversion, and there is no single stereotypical response. Whenever you talk about conversion, you will see that people with different mindset, they will react differently. And a convert, at such when they are trying to recondition themselves, they try to reinforce various beliefs, patterns, certain rituals, certain sacred activities and duties. And situation becomes very complex because it's a new religion, it's a new cult for you, and you have been taking up a new thing for quite a long time, leaving behind your old practice. So that becomes very difficult. And you will also say that mostly Rambo, the scholar of who he feels that despite formal conversion, the problem remains that to a large extent, until the practices like meditation or chants are practiced, you are not completely accepted into the group. And it is not only just a question of ideology; it's also how well you are able to practice it. And then there are certain standardized expectations and responses as to as as to what you should be doing when you make an entry into a new set of faith. And at the same time, you will see that whenever you tend to convert, it's basically people have this perception that you are trying to seek certain opportunities. You have converted because of certain reasons, because there has been certain opportunities that you want to seek. And sometimes there is this victim game, that okay, this person was the victim of this cult, and maybe they were brainwashed, and there was a particular propaganda going on, and now they could able to convert him, giving him this allurement of him or her certain opportunities. So there is this brainwashing thesis of conversion. And then you will also see that there is no single motivation, that can, answer this question. But the thing is that when we are talking about a convert, and there is always a conflicting situation. That person, he or she, may not feel at home in the society in which they are placed because it's a new thing, and they will also not feel comfortable in their own society to which they existed. So you become an alien both ways, and there is an adjustment problem for the new convertees. And that's why you will see that there are different ways in which the convertees are attracted to the new kind of a new religions that they are trying to practice. And you will also see that there are certain dominant religions who try to give you a kind of a new set of values. And they try to say that okay, till now things have not been better for you, things are going to be in a good situation once you join. But once they join again, they don't get the same kind of acceptance from the community to which they have converted. So it's basically, for a convertee, the readjustment problem is difficult because you become an alien both ways in your previous faith and the new faith that you could join. And Rambo would actually, talk about four set of variables that occur when a person converts to another belief system or to another religion. And he says that firstly, the convert is heavily influenced uh, by the community or the peer group that he chooses when he is trying to convert. Your the people who are around you. You try to see that okay, the influences, how they are actually, it's your friend circle or your distant relatives who have taken up this decision to convert, and you believe that they are doing well, and you go for it. And then you find groups of people who convert because they believe that they have a very close relationship with the leader, the religious leader, and they have a certain kind of impact of the leader, and they believe that being close to them, and you can change your life with them. And for them, the most important uh, tenants actually comes by reprogramming and reconditioning themselves. So that could be one of the reason. Thirdly, your overall worldview changes when you have converted. uh, it's not just your rituals, but the way you started looking at the world, the way the belief systems that you hold, that's also going to change. And finally, the role perception of the convert also undergoes a change. They perceive things in a different manner. Their certain behavior changes, and as I told you, it's a very difficult thing to adjust. Readjustment problem is always there. And there are three major types of people as far as conversion is concerned. You will see that people with a positive attitude towards religious conversion. एमती लोगों का भी असुविधा कौन अछि conversion रे? There is nothing wrong in it. It's like a new thing. ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ଜିନିଷ ଶିଖୁଛି, ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ଜିନିଷ I'm trying to practice. And as I told you, there is this catchment area, and most people, for many reasons, because of their dissatisfaction with the previous religion that they adhere to, they would like to make a switch. So mostly, it's the vulnerable, it's the poor, it's the people who have been marginalized. They go into these campaigns and they take it in a very positive way. There are people with neutral attitude towards religious conversion. Such people, they do not see any reason to change, and they believe that I really don't understand why people need to change their religion. Either way, they don't talk about it. They are just completely neutral about it. They believe that okay, the religion is a way of life. If I like something, I can practice that. I may not, change or make a complete structural announcement that okay, I'm going for this kind of a change. So there is a neutral attitude towards it. And then there are people who are completely against conversion, and they believe that it's a conditioning process, and they criticize those religious systems or those cults that go on converting. And that's the reason, it is with these set of people that conversion has always been under limelight, and we have always talked about it. If you look at, some of the ancient religions, for example, the Jews, they laid down precise guidelines for conversion. And the guidelines for conversion, first of all, it was in terms of certain change in heart. Like, it's a new system that I feel attracted towards. It is not about certain monetary gain or certain political gain that I have to go for it. And a convert in a Judaism, has to undergo certain ritual circumcision. He or she has to commit himself to be, they have certain some 613 commandments. And somebody who gets converted, he takes a vow that he is going to abide by all those commandments. And there is no room for any conflicting ideology for a convert who has taken off Judaism. So that's the reason, every religion, when they talk about conversion, they have very specific guidelines for them. And if you look at the Hebrew Bible, it's quite lenient towards the process of conversion, and they give special attention to the convertee, so that they are aware of the fact that the convertee is a new entrant to the religion, and he or she may feel like a stranger. So people should be there to help him or her out. And at the same time, you will see that Jewish religion doesn't stick to any such conservative moves. They are quite open with this thing. Uh, as far as Christianity is concerned, you will see that conversion to Christianity has been one of the most you know widespread practice globally. In fact, if you see, look into the details of this religious guidelines, you will see that proselytization is an intrinsic part of Christian religion, and it's there that in the New Testament, Jesus commanded Christians to go to all parts of the world and promote Christianity, convert people. Thus, evangelism is an important component of Christianity. It has been there right from the very beginning, because it is said that Jesus himself wanted people to convert so that this religion can become more and more popular. And that's the reason you will see that Christian baptism is there, and they also have certain practice of putting the converti into water, taking a deep into water, and so that a new spirit will act upon them. And Christianity and Islam, they are both active in the field of preaching their faith. And then you will see that most of the religions, they go for it, but at the same time there are certain religions like in Japan, Buddhism is the dominant religion, but at the same time Shinto, which is an indigenous religion with Japanese, people can practice both. I can be a Buddhist and I can practice Shinto. uh,
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah.
ଆପଣ ଓଡ଼ିଆ କିମ୍ବା ହିନ୍ଦୀରେ ବୁଝେଇ ପାରିବେ କି ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ?
हाँ ओडिया रे भी कहि परिबी, बट आई हैव टू बी बाइलिंगुअल। मु इंग्लिश रे कहबी आ ओडिया रे कहबी, इफ इट्स फाइन फॉर
ओके
यू।
ओके ओके थैंक यू मैम।
ତେଣୁ ମୁଁ ଏଇଟା କହିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି ଯେ କନଭର୍ସନ ଟା ଗୋଟେ ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ବହୁତ ଆନ୍ସିଏଣ୍ଟ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ, କିଛି ନୂଆ ଜିନିଷ ନାହିଁ। ଲୋକମାନେ ଏବେ ବହୁତ ରିଆକ୍ଟ କରନ୍ତି ୟାକୁ ନେଇକି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଯେମିତି ଆମେ ଆଗରୁ ଡିସ୍କସ କଲେ ଯେ ତିନିଟା କ୍ୟାଟେଗୋରୀ ଲୋକ ଥିଲେ। ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୟାଟେଗୋରୀ ଲୋକ who took conversion in a very positive way, କି ହଁ ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ବିଚାରଧାରା ପ୍ରତି ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ଆକର୍ଷଣ ହେଲା। ମତେ ଲାଗୁଛି ଯେ ଏମିତି କରିବା ଦ୍ୱାରା କି ଏମିତି ଗୋଟେ ବିଲିଫ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଦ୍ୱାରା ମୋ ଜୀବନଟା ଆଉ ଟିକେ ବେଟର ହେଇପାରିବ। I will take it up। କିଛିଟା ଲୋକ ଥିଲେ ଯୋଉମାନେ କି କହିଲେ ଆରେ ରିଲିଜିୟନ ରେ କଣ ଅଛି, ତମେ ଯାହା ଏଟା ମନ ଭିତରର କଥା, ମୁଁ ହିନ୍ଦୁ ହେଇକି କଣ ମୁଁ ମାନି ପାରିବିନି ଖ୍ରୀଷ୍ଟିଆନିଟିର ଭ୍ୟାଲ୍ୟୁଜ କି ଇସଲାମର ଭ୍ୟାଲ୍ୟୁଜ, ଏଥିରେ କନଭର୍ସନକୁ ନେଇକି ଏତେ ଫିଆସ୍କୋ କାହିଁକି? And there is this third set ଯୋଉମାନେ କି were very critical। କିନ୍ତୁ ଏମିତି ଦେଖିବାକୁ ମିଳିଛି ଯେ ancient times ରେ ବହୁତ religion ରେ conversion ଟାକୁ ନେଇକି किछटा गाइडलाइंस दिया ହେଇଛି। जुडाइज्म रे हो, क्रिश्चियनिटी रे हो, इस्लामिक रिलीजियंस रे हो, they have a guideline for conversion। but एमिति भी रिलीजियन अछि जेमति कि मु जापान रो केस देली जे से माने दीटा रिलीजियन एका संगे जणे प्रैक्टिस कर परिबो। मु कन्वर्टेड होबा दरकार नै कि माने गोटे मु हिंदू माने मु खाली हिंदू हेक रहबी। मोस्टली जणे बुद्धिस्ट गोटे हिंदू भी हे पारे, जणे हिंदू गोटे सिखिज्म भी प्रैक्टिस करि पाउछि। एमती किछटा परमिएबिलिटी अछि। but there are certain mutually exclusive religion to which there is no permeability। ता भितरे या भितरे के पसी परिबेनी, दिजना गोटे पूरा गोटे mutually exclusive group हे कि रहि जाउछि। so if you look into this case of what you say proselytization, you will see that you know people from different groups, from different communities, they differ in their activities that comes under this conversion thing। one is that how do I look at proselytization। ମୁଁ ଯଦି ଏବେ କହିବି କି religious proselytization ବିଷୟରେ ଆପଣ କଣ ଚିନ୍ତା କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ଆପଣ କହିପାରିବେ ନା ନା ଏଟା ବହୁତ ଖରାପ ଜିନିଷ, ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ପ୍ରଲୋଭନ ଦେଖେଇକି ତାଙ୍କୁ ଏମିତି କରାଯାଉଛି, ସେ କରାଯାଉଛି। ଯଦି ସେଇଆ ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା ତାହେଲେ ସେଟା ବ୍ୟାନ୍ କାହିଁକି ହେଇଯାଏ? The thing is that many people say that it's a freedom of speech। ମୁଁ ପ୍ରୋପାଗେଟ୍ କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି, ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ଆଦର୍ଶ ଲୋକକୁ ଜଣେଇବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି। it is my freedom of speech which is again a fundamental right। and I should be given the chance to speak out, and people should have the chance to try something new in their life। ଏଥିରେ କିଛି ଭୁଲ ନାହିଁ, but at the same time some people feel that it should be। Please mute your microphones। Some people might feel that it's harmful, it's completely derogatory, and what a nuisance, ତମେ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ପ୍ରଲୋଭନ ଦେଖେଇକି ଏମିତି କରୁଛ ସେମିତି କରୁଛ। they have all kinds of complaints। so how do you look at it? there should be freedom to change religion। ସେଟା ଗୋଟେ basic freedom man ର, because it's a freedom of expression, how I feel myself, because I am trying to express myself through my religion। ସେଇ ଜିନିଷଟା ଯେ ଆସି ପାରିବନି if I am not given the freedom to change my religion if I want to, not only once but several times। ମୁଁ ଆଜି ହିନ୍ଦୁ ଅଛି, ମୁଁ କାଲି କି ଇସଲାମ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ କଲି, ମତେ ସେଇଥିରେ ବି ଖୁସି ମିଳିଲାନି, ମୁଁ ଖ୍ରୀଷ୍ଟିଆନିଟି ଟ୍ରାଏ କରିକି ଦେଖିଲି, till I am satisfied I should go on। ତେଣୁ ଏଥିରେ କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ। scholars believe that it's a kind of a freedom of choice, freedom of speech, and freedom of expression। then there should be freedom of association. People should be free to, have religious inclinations, to mix with people from different groups, have their own associations, own cults. ଏଟାକୁ କଣ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଅପରାଧ ବୋଲି କହିଦେବା that you are trying to, have your association, ତମେ promote କରିବ, କାଲିକି ତମେ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ convert କରେଇଦବ. It shouldn't be taken as a crime. It shouldn't be looked at that in that way. That is another point. And then, whenever you're talking about freedom of speech, you allow people, from these new age cults to talk to others about their experience. So when converted hele for experience kono, they try to reach out to a new belief, new lifestyle. So it is again a matter of freedom. Jodi a freedom ta jodi dono, then that's not a democratic society. जो कन्वर्जन नहीं को नहीं कि जो कंट्रोवर्सी आम सोसाइटी रे कि बहुत सोसाइटी रे अछि, many people think that it's nothing wrong in it, because you are again giving them more scope for freedom. Then some religions, they are very strict about conversion. They are they go on commanding their the new recruits to take up certain missionary work all over the world. And then there are certain new movements that are taken up, and they ask them to float them. And there is this example that is also given in your text. It says that uh, the Sakers, they are like one kind of a religion group, and they do not allow followers to procreate. And if you take up that religion, you cannot give birth to babies, you cannot have your children. And in that case, tama religious group ta badhibo kemiti? बाध्य हबो तमे convert करिया पे. So there are certain religions who completely depend on conversion, so that it's for their own what you say popularity. And that's the reason it's still a controversial issue. Talking about Hinduism, you will see that uh, you know we tend to believe closely in the notion of karma. And if you say that for a convertee, those who convert, they have a past tendency to do so. Hinduism कहबो कि जे हाँ ताक गोटे past tendency अछि जो माने भी converted हेबे. And at the same time, there are different belief system. Every religion will take it up in a different way. So Hinduism is simply allowed nahi conversion, but at the same time, yesterday or day before yesterday, when we were discussing Sanskritization, we believe that some scholars have pointed out that Sanskritization is a kind of Hinduization. So every religion, they have their different ways of converting. For example, certain states like Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka has completely banned conversion. Sri Lanka re it's illegal, and you will see that they have come up with certain anti-conversion laws. And they express that it would like to follow the Tamil Nadu government as far as anti-conversion legislation is concerned. And the government of Sri Lanka was trying to pass a law of taking punitive action against those who are attempting to convert people. जो माने भी convert करिया को चाहउछन्ती तांको against action निया जिवो, तांको either 7 वर्ष जेल दंड दिया जिवो कि किछि एमती करा जिवो, because they believe that it is ethically wrong. एटा उटे बहुत खराब practice तमे convert करेइबाटा. किने एमती भी किछटा state अछन्ती, they were in an attempt of doing so. But Sri Lanka actually faced certain pressure from certain international organizations. There is this. Please mute your microphone. Yeah, thank you. So you can see that there is this Beckett Fund who said that if you don't if you pass this legislation, I'm not going to fund your tsunami related aid to your country. तमे जदि एमती लेजिस्लेशन पास करिवो ताले सुनामी को नै कि जो एड आमे जो पैसा प्रोवाइड करछु हम सेटा कंप्लीटली ये कर दो, बिकॉज़ इट इज you are trying to do a fundamental blunder here. एमिति किछटा स्टेट स्पॉन्सर्ड conversions भी हेछि. And then tribal society. Tribal society, you will see that mostly India, they are tribals. They have their own religion. It's mostly pointed out that tribals in India, they are neither Hindu nor Christians, and therefore they have the right to choose their own religion. But however, there is this idea that there are certain groups, religious groups, who try to give allurement of job, economic benefit. ତମେ ଆମ ଧର୍ମ ଗ୍ରହଣ କଲେ ତମକୁ ଏମିତି ଚାକିରି ମିଳିଯିବ, ଆମେ ତମକୁ ଏଇଟା ଦବୁ ସେଇଟା ଦବୁ, ଏମିତି କହିକି they have been allured into their religion. And tribal population by large is not Hindu, and it is they have their own religion, they have their own tribal deities. But at the same time, there is a tussle between Hindus and other sects, other religions, as to they blame each other that they have been trying to convert tribes by brainwashing them, by alluring them with all material needs because they are vulnerable. ତାଙ୍କର ଯେହେତୁ vulnerability ଅଛି, ଯେହେତୁ need ଅଛି, ତେଣୁ ବହୁତ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରନ୍ତି ବହୁତ ଗୁଡେ ଗ୍ରୁପ ସେମାନେ କନଭର୍ଟ କରିଦେବେ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ। So basically, when we talk about conversion, it's not only a mere what you say change in practices or change in belief system, but a member of the society undergoes a complete change of identity, because I tend to draw my identity not only from my village name or from my family background, but my religion, my caste root. Indian system रे ये सब जिनिଷ ଥାଏ, ଗୋଟେ change of identity भी हुए। That's the reason there is so much of violence, there is so much of because when you are talking about identity change, not many people will accept it, because ତମ family members ଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ବି ତମେ ବଦଳି ଯିବ, ତମେ ଆଉ ସେଇଆ ନୁହଁ ତାଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ, you would be the same person, ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ଉଠୁଥିବ ବସୁଥିବ, କିନ୍ତୁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଲାଗିବ କି ତମେ ଗୋଟେ ଅଲଗା ହେଇଗଲ, ଯେହେତୁ because you have taken up a new religion. So you will see that there are fallouts on many things. marital breakdowns ହେଇଯାଏ, ବାହାଘର ଭାଙ୍ଗି ଯାଏ, violence ହେଇଯାଏ, ଘର ଭିତରେ family disorganization ହୁଏ, and there are certain indoctrinations and brainwashing that damages the original personality of the member. एमिति brainwashing भी करा जाय थाए. For example, I always keep wondering, why is it that so many educated people, they take up terrorism? Suppose the jihadi group hela ki jaha bhi, why do they take up? They are so educated, but still they take up. ये जो indoctrination by these religious leaders की what the leaders, they are actually changing the original personality of the member. ସେମାନେ हाँ motivated है कि change होती, but some people have serious concern with that. They believe that this position is not the right one, because you are taking away again the soul essence of that person from himself. By converting him, you are not converting his or her religion, you are converting the entire identity of the person. ତମେ ତାଠୁ ସେ ଯାହା ଥିଲା ସବୁ ଛଡେଇ ନେଲ, ତମେ ତମ ଅନୁସାରେ ତାକୁ ଇଏ କରିଦେଲ, ପୁଣି ମାନେ କଣ ଗଢିଦେଲ। ତେଣୁ many people have certain problems with that, and at the same time many believe that conversion na kichhi avashyakata nahi. If I have to take, if I understand in a new kind of a what you say belief system or a value system, I can actually practice it, and that's the reason why so many new religious movements came up in the last century. Now I will take up certain religious movements that we have seen over the last few decades, which are very recent. ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ନୂଆ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ religious movement ଥିଲା, for which you did not convert, and one of them was transcendental meditation. You might have heard of it. महर्षि महेश योगीଙ୍କ नाम ଶୁଣିଥିବ। It was actually the brainchild of transcendental meditation, is the TM जोटाକୁ ଆମେ କହୁ, popularized by Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, and he believed that those who practice this transcendental meditation, they undergo immense physical and mental transformation. You know, if you look at the origin of this movement, it began somewhere in 1957, and it was a time when uh, Mahesh Yogi tried to inaugurate a new movement and to regenerate, this idea of spirituality, the idea of Oriental Indian spirituality before the Western world, and that was like it took and the form of an organization that was called Spiritual Regeneration Movement. Which is spirituality taste that he could give it to the Western world. Western world रे जोथिरे कि माने either they stick to a very conservative religious practice or there is no space for spiritualism. Mahesh Yogi ଗୋଟେ Eastern ideology को entire world को introduce कले, and that was a phenomenal thing. Transcendental meditation, it became very popular during the 1970s, and Mahesh Yogi actually had a world plan for it. He could actually, he believed that, every person, every individual, he or she should take this, training. And he started opening up many TM centers across the world. Chariade se bahut khuliyako lagile, and some 5 million people learned that technique. Our technique ta hochi kona na, it's just a silent mental repetition. 20 minute पे गोटे सेशन हबो, तुम माने सकाळे थरे संजे बेले थरे जे भी करिवो आखि बंद करिके, and the technique is you will be given a mantra, गोटे संस्कृत मंत्र तुमको दिया जिवो, you will be chanting that mantra, सेटा loudly नहीं, silently, and you are not supposed to tell that mantra to anyone. That is the mantra of your life. The aim of this meditation is called pure consciousness or samadhi. आमे जोटा कि ओडिया रे कहू से समाधि स्टेट को जिबा पे ए मेडिटेशन का हेल्प करे, and with it तमरो your mind settles down, your mental activity recedes. आमे जो कहू कि गोटे स्ट्रेस रे माइंड ता बहुत हलचल होची किबा बहुत एक्टिव होची, आई एम नॉट एबल टू काम माय माइंड डाउन, तेणु से जो स्ट्रेस फ्री करेबार एटा गोटे बहुत तार रोल थिला, एंड दैट वाज नॉट द ओनली थिंग, सेटा फिजिकल मेटाबॉलिज्म हमको हेल्दी भी करेबार तार बहुत हाथ थिला. And one of the interesting thing is that Mahesh Yogi could actually popularize it across the Western world by making it scientifically valid. He claimed that ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମେ meditation ରେ ବସୁଛ, when you are practicing transcendental meditation, there is a structural material impurities ଯାହା ବି ଆମ body ରେ ଅଛି, ଆମ mind ରେ ଅଛି, ସବୁ purify ହେଇ ଯାଉଛି. And he had certain ways of doing it. He believed that it's a psychosomatic de-stressing process. Psychosomatic टा होची basically ଗୋଟେ I would be having a mental stress, and it will take the form of a physical ailment. हुए तो माने मु स्ट्रेस रे अछि, बिकॉज ऑफ स्ट्रेस मोर एसिडिटी हे जाउची कि मो मुंड बिंधुची, सेटा ଗୋଟେ फिजिकल फॉर्म नबो. तेना सब बळे माइंड और बॉडी रो जो रिलेशन ता, that has to be the unity of mind and body, से जिनसटा को से क्लींस करिया को चेष्टा कले. He did not take this concept कि अच्छा mind is different from the body. एथे हम body physical health ता को देखुना, हम mental health को देखुचे. He was trying to say that mind and body, they are both related. Mind healthy हेले भी body healthy हे पारिबो, it's both way true. So we have to focus on both. A mantra ro jo sound pattern that he was talking about, it gave rise to a kind of a vibration, and that vibration it has its own charm, and it creates a kind of a, what you say, strength in you when you are meditating. Now, transcendental meditation is it a religion, itara bahut pachara gala, or a cult, or is it a business organization, because तार पॉपुलैरिटी बहुत अधिक थिला, and it was an expensive thing. माने गोटे गरीब लोक ट्रांसेंडेंटल मेडिटेशन शिखि परिबो सेटा नुह, because it was an expensive package. ମୁଁ ଯଦି ଶିଖିବି ମୋ ପାଖେ ପଇସା ଥିବା ଦରକାର ତେଣୁ ୱେଷ୍ଟରେ ସେଟା ବହୁତ popularized ହେଲା, and you will see that transcendental meditation was it can be considered as a religion because it involves certain spiritual changes and improvement in the participants जेहेतु किछटा spiritual change ଆମ ମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ होछि जो माने भी transcendental meditation practice କରୁଛନ୍ତି ତେଣୁ ଗୋଟେ religion କହି ପାରିବା to some extent. And on the other hand, kichita rituals rahuchi, kichita standardized worship patterns rahuchi which are involved, and that's the reason we believe. And there is no question of having faith in the mantra or Maharshi because he is like the worshipping guru, and he believes that it's always the mantra that he is talking about. It's a secret mantra. तमे कहा आगे कहा केबे कहबनी, तमे तले चैंट करछ तमे केबे लाउडली बड़ पाटरे चैंट करिवनी, तमे मने मने सेटा को चैंट करथो. And at the same time, when you are chanting, the inner spheres actually revigorates. And the method for choosing kaha ko ko mantra diya jibo, it depends on your age. Jodi tamo age 25 ki 26 तमको गोटे प्रकार मंत्र दिया जिवो. Now I am in my mid 30s, मते गोटे प्रकार मंत्र दिया जिवो. जणे 70 years old, because they believe the vibration will or the need of spirituality is different in every age group. और तेणु एज ग्रुप को नहीं कि से जो मंत्रटा अलर्ट करा जाए, which is again and secret. जीवन सारा तुम सेटा कहा सहित भी शेयर करिवो. And you will also see that transcendental meditation and religion, they're completely compatible. It's not that and they are both necessary. Marcy would say that without meditation, religion will not survive, and without religion, meditation will be kichhi nahi. They are compatible. They have to go well with each other. Then all practitioners of TM, they must have their own religion. ये जहाँ religious practices को नहीं कि भी meditation टा करी परिवे. It's not that you have to convert into become a Mahesh yogi or be one of those take one of these practices to be a participant here. So basically, it heals people. And transcendental meditation that I think popularity एथिपे रहिला because it was scientifically tested many a times. There are so many. If you search karibo scientific journals there has been so many studies on TM. जितने बड़ा बड़ा जर्नल अच्छी अमेरिकन जर्नल ऑफ फिजियोलॉजी को साइंस को वंडर को दे हैव ऑल पब्लिश्ड पूरा जो जितने की भी रिसर्चर्स ऑल द डॉक्टर्स इनटू हार्वर्ड रे जो माने अछंती की बड़ा बड़ा यूनिवर्सिटीज रे वेस्टर्न यूनिवर्सिटीज रे जो माने अछंती they could also feel that no, it has certain scientific value, but at the same time one thing was questioned about it. Is it is it really for cleansing the people's stress and healing them, because or it has an elitist bias, because as I told you earlier it was very expensive, and it was something that the poor could not afford. आउ सेटा आपण माने इंटरेस्टिंग भी देखिबे जे सेटा खाली रिच जोटा कि नॉर्दर्न ब्लॉक्स अमेरिका हला, इंग्लैंड हला, यूरोपियन कंट्रीज हला, ए जो रिच ब्लॉक्स गुडा करे पॉपुलर हला बेसी, rather than South Asia की हला कि हमर इंडिया पाकिस्तान की एमती. Just because Mahesh Yogi was an Indian, you also have a Maharshi college in Bhubaneswar. It's again it comes under the domain of this transcendental meditation. गोटे ये रे जीवो Maharshi College of Natural Law हुआ जाए, because he believed, Mahesh Yogi believed that natural law is something which which has a holistic, which can give you a holistic knowledge. Then his ideas were completely holistic. It was different, and whatever the reason be, you will see that not many could afford it. And Mahesh Yogi himself, he was a visionary person, and he himself could actually, uh, could could actually have the vision of having so many centers and passing on this design across the world. He was single-handedly responsible for that. And if you look at this Mahesh Yogi organization, it has trained some 40,000 transcendental meditation teachers who have had founded schools, colleges. There are meditation packages like Maharshi Vedic Science Program, Sochi. Then there is this global organization that was launched in 1957. Then Morsi has himself, he has written many books, and he talks about, he addresses scientists, people in the field of education. A person, I mean, कहबे कि जे से गोटे scientist को भी कौन address କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ conference ରେ से literature ରୁ से music ରୁ he believe कि knowledge ଟା holistic ସବୁ knowledge ସବୁ ସହିତ related. There is nothing that कि ଗୋଟେ music ରେ भी से art ଟା ଦେଖିବେ, science ରେ ବି ସେ ଦେଖିବେ, music रे भी से science टा देखिबे. He was, he believed in a kind of a holistic knowledge. And 1964, Maharshi's first book that was about science of being an art of living was put into print, and it was a massive success. And it was printed, reprinted across the globe by big publisher like Penguin, and he could create a global community of followers of transcendental meditation. ଆଉ ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୁଁ ସାଇଣ୍ଟିଫିକ ଭ୍ୟାଲିଡିଟି କଥା କହିଲି ଆପଣ ମାନେ ଦେଖିବେ କି ଯେ 600ଟା ଷ୍ଟଡିଜ ହେଇଛି ଆଜି ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ମାନେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ରେକର୍ଡ ଅଛି ଆପଣଙ୍କ ମେଟେରିଆଲ ବି ତ ଟିକେ ପୁରୁଣା ଥିବ ତାଠୁ ବି ଅଧିକ ହେଇପାରେ but we have recorded 600 studies on transcendental meditation ଆଉ mostly ସେମାନେ they have been very positive that transcendental meditation ଟା ସାଇନ୍ସ ସହିତ ଖାପ ଖାଉଛି normally ଆମେ कहू कि अच्छा गोटे religious practice टा scientific न था ये न था that was not true for transcendental meditation. So that's what today there are several areas. He is talking about Vedic health, Vedic education जोटा कि तम महर्षि consciousness based education through रे होची Vedic agriculture. You talk about certain meditational methods. So it's like a global phenomena today. So it's not just reduced to one single cult, but it has a global reach. And at the same time, Mahesh Yogi actually, attunes to the field of total knowledge. Se कहते कि the total knowledge that he is talking about, it has to come together. It's like one holistic knowledge, and that will enrich your consciousness, and that's how it's still a popular one, and you will see that he was the one who could popularize the Vedic science, the Vedas in the West. So kudos goes to him in doing that. And today you will find so many organizations and so many forums that is associated with him, and it has many benefits. Transcendental meditation, it helps you in having a better health, in clear thinking, in fulfilling your relationship with the world, in maintaining basically a peaceful world, in creating a peaceful order in the society. So that was about Mahesh Yogi's contribution. The next new religious movement that we'll be discussing is the Hare Krishna movement. ISKCON मंदिर भी आमर भुवनेश्वर गोटे अच्छी. ISKCON is a very popular cult across the globe, खाली इंडिया रे नुहे. So basically, it's a kind of a new kind of a religious movement, and ISKCON, which can be expanded as an International Society for Krishna Consciousness. It was a traditional movement. Traditional movement in the sense जोटा कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु ठारू माने we actually try to trace its origin, and they follow a very strict vegetarian diet. They do not consume alcohol. They maintain very high moral standards, and at the same time, transcendental meditation there is the role of the guru is very important. Mahesh Yogi would say that without a guru it's difficult. you cannot attain a new kind of a thing. Similarly, ISKCON is also giving importance to the presence of a guru. And if you look at the aims of this movement, it has certain important acharyas or certain important teachers who are responsible for it. ଯେମିତି ମୁଁ କହିଲି Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was one of them. The six Goswamis of Vrindavan, Sakti Siddhartha Saraswati Thakur, then Swami Prabhupada. They were certain important gurus who were who could popularize ISKCON globally. And it was founded in 1966 by Swami Srila Prabhupada, and since 1966 ISKCON could become a worldwide society which has about 10,000 temples globally. 10,000 to be adhika temple achi. And ISKCON is a very huge organization. 3 lakh ପାଖାପାଖି ତାର devotees ଥିବେ, and it runs around 350 centers. It has many rural community centers, 50-60 schools thibo, restaurants thibo globally, and it actually had 7 aims. Firstly, to propagate spirituality and spiritual knowledge to society as such. Spirituality ta kemti am propagate kari pariba. Then to educate people spiritually so that you know, they can break down the shackles, they can be spiritually elevated. Second is to propagate this idea of Krishna consciousness, which is revealed in Bhagavad Gita. ତେଣୁ Bhagavad Gitaର ଯୋଉ essence ଟାକୁ ସେ popularize କରିଛି globally. The importance of these new religious movement is underscored by the fact that ତମେ transcendental meditation କୁହ କି ISKCON କୁହ, ଏମାନେ ଯୋଉ eastern values ଯୋଉଟା କି ମାନେ east ର spirituality ସେଇ aspect ଟା ଏତେ rich ଥିଲା ଯୋଉଟା କି ପୁରା ଲୋକ ଜାଣି ପାରୁନଥିଲେ କି ପୁରା ଭୁଲି ଯାଇଥିଲେ. Even we were not conscious about it. They could introduce the world to that, and today you have a massive follower. ମାନେ ବେଶୀ ଆପଣ ମାନେ ପାଇବେ west ରେ ଆଙ୍କର followers than in India. Globally they have so many followers. Thirdly, they create a solidarity among societal members. माने you just कृष्ण भक्त तमे समझते, तेणु कृष्णଙ୍କ प्रति जो awareness जो consciousness रहुची, with it it's enough to build a community. तमे जो देशर होई थाओ, जो संप्रदाय रही थाओ, तम रंग जहाँ थाओ, तमे गोरा हुओ, कला हुओ, तमे white हुओ कि Indian हुओ कि American हुओ, you all belong to one community because you all have faith in Krishna. तेणु से जो कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस रो गोटे कम्युनिटी इट कुड बिल्ड. Fourth is to encourage and teach about Sankirtana movement, which as a group it started with chanting the name of Krishna. Krishna kar na chant kari kari, जोटा कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे से जो ये टा करथिले, से जो chanting as a teach the entire world about it. And then it aims to instruct a building which is very large, where Krishna can be, Leela can be enacted. जोथिरे कि कृष्णा को लोक ग्लोबली जानिबे, सिंपल और नेचुरल लाइफस्टाइल, केते सिंपल लाइफस्टाइल मु लीड कर परिबी एंड आई कैन बी हैप्पी. एंड फाइनली ISKCON बहुत बही मैगजीन पैम्पलेट्स it publishes across the world in different languages owing to its popularity. And basically it believes in Vaishnava philosophy, and they believe that our supreme god Hochanti Krishna, and so they recognize Vishnu, Rama, Buddha, Allah. They recognize all, and the main aim, of this, they are also called Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and they believe that having Krishna in the heart, Bhagwan, that Krishna heart to rahibe, you will have the most cleanest heart, and you will be, healed of all stress and all difficulties. So they chant this Mahamantra. तांका पे Mahamantra होची Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it was something that was popularized by Sri Chaitanya, and he believed that self purification या द्वारा ही करिबो कली युगरे. talking about the structure of ISKCON, you will see that there are so many people who tend to coordinate the programs there. 1970 re Swami Prabhupada he convened a general body commission GBC to manage ISKCON, and the GBC tried to help and expand ISKCON before his death to kuhajai paribani before he left his body, because Mahaprabhu manankar death when we believe Prabhupada had requested that once he expires, the GBC will have all the powers of running the organization. And since then, this GBC is responsible for carrying out the plans, strategies, कौन method रहिबो, कोठी कौन तांकर ये रहिबो, कोटे centrally designed है केडा को चालुची. And ISKCON structure today is called Bhakti Vedanta. Uh, Apart from this ISKCON structure, they have this Bhakti Vedanta Book Trust BBT जोटा में हो. And if you Srila Prabhupada जो थिले आचार्य, he was an excellent writer. से 12 वर्ष रे बधे 70 टा बही लिखी थी. And it has published this BBT, which comes under ISKCON, has published some 500 billion books and magazines, which is quite a huge achievement. Then if you talk about the history of ISKCON, you will see that it was promulgated by Prabhupada in 1966. It actually ingrained the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, and which we can relate to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there you will see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu along with the 6 Goswami, जो कि हमें कहूँ कि 15th century रू एटार origin टा आसी सारिची. And devotees always believe that Sri Chaitanya was the total reincarnation of Krishna. Krishnanଙ୍କର से ଗୋଟେ अवतार बोली बहुत जन तांके से महाप्रभु हमें कहते. And he built this Shakti movement, and this Bhakti movement, it came from him, and today we are just trying to propagate what Sri Chaitanya has said in those times. So basically, what is the basic questions why people across the globe are attracted towards ISKCON? Because response किछटा answers provide करे. कौन ना for example मु कहबी कि जे why does certain negative things happen to me? मु तो लाइफ रे पूरा सब जाक गोटे एथिकली काम करिछि, सबबळे भलो चिंता करछि, मो सहित काई खराब होला, लोक एते किछि करि के एते खराब काम करि के दे आर having a good life. Why is it me? बेले एमती प्रश्न आसे. कर्म कोन, बैड कर्म कोन मेडिटेशन रो पळै पारिबो. How do I control my senses? And it's a basic questions. Animal sacrifice, non-vegetarianism, kete to valid. How can you identify a person who has seen truth? True love exists pari ki? Empty kichita questions that frequently one asks. ISKCON tries to address it. The document doesn't record the answers, but if you study the tenets of this ISKCON, the guidelines that or the framework that has been provided by them, you will realize these questions. एमती गोटे बही आंसर बही नाही है जोटा कि तमे पढि दे कि तमे ए सब बेसिक क्वेश्चंस रा आंसर पाइ जिवो. किंतु if you go deep into the faith, you have faith in it, you will have this answer, and that gives you immense stress-free life. Then आपने देखिथिबे गीता रे श्री कृष्ण he outlines a method of yoga that was called Ashtanga yoga, and it has several parts. It has 8 parts to it, and you have to sit with a certain posture. What about a good posture re basibi, ko dietary restriction kemti khaibi, kon khaibi, moro breath control kemti hobo, how to concentrate on the heart chakra. ए सब जिंस को नै कि जो अष्टांग योगा टा हेछि, and here you will see that it demands certain preconditions that one has to develop first of all to control one's senses, to regulate oneself, breath control kariparuchi. Kichita preconditions thila pore hi you can go for it. Then only it is possible to visualize that Vishnu is seated in your heart. See last stage रे तमे तेरे सब preconditions apply कर सारछो आ तमे जेते करि चलछो तमे देखिबो कि you could visualize जे Vishnu is sitting on your heart. এই जो जिनसटा every isconite तांको এই जो image टा आसे they really think that तांको हृदय रे विष्णु अछंती. And when you will see that when Arjuna heard Krishna expound this form of yoga, he was taken aback. है ना अर्जुन से तारको युद्ध करिया को जाउतले and he could feel that तेनो गोटे नॉर्मल मनीष भी करि परिबो ए जो जिनसटा. तेनो these are some of the practices जोटा कि modern age रे गोटे stress free life lead करिया को people are always in a need. And if you look at it's like a the entire outline of this structure, you will say it is like celebrating Krishna. You are completely, I'm completely in love with Krishna. ମୁଁ ତାଙ୍କ in love with Krishna, and in that form I am ମୁଁ ଗାଉଛି ମୁଁ ନାଚୁଛି ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ sense of bliss जोटा केतेबेले गाई परिबो कि नाचि परिबो ସେଟା पूरा फ्री हे जाई I have liberated myself. तेना मु जे सेति के ब्लिस जदि अनुभव करि पारिनी मु केबे गीत गाइबा कि नाचिबा स्टेज को जाई पारिबिनी. तेना भक्तिटा ଗୋଟେ नुवा मार्ग भक्तिर. भक्ति माने नहे जे मोटे सीरियस है कि बसिबी मु एटा करबिनी सेटा करबिनी. हाउ टू बी हैप्पी नाचि कि मु भक्ति मोर देखै पारिबी जेमति मु नाचि पारुची ये करबी. तेना स्वामी प्रभुपाद ही wanted to hear Krishna being being realized globally, and that is how it was one of his major motives to popularize it across the world. And if you look at it, you will see that Krishna is perceived by the ISKCONites as the absolute truth. And you will see that when you talk about Lord Krishna, he is not subservient to nature. And he says that Srila points out that nature is not enough. We must ask who nature is it, whose nature is it. That is to say, nature has to belong to something. It doesn't exist without someone or something whose authority is not under it, and it cannot exist on its own. So there has to be an ultimate what you say authority over it, and he attains everything to Lord Krishna. So that's how when you talk about this particular cult, it is about surrendering yourself, surrendering your ego, surrendering your all your vices, with a complete spiritual state. And you know you're surrendering all your energies, and that's how you rejuvenate yourself. And Srila points out that the Vishnu Purana has described three types of energy. One is spiritual potency, second is the living creatures and entities, and third is ignorance. Spiritual potency find goodness and wisdom, beauty in all. It is the source of all that is wonderful. If you want to be happy, you should have that spiritual potency in you. सबुथिरे आगो goodness टा देखिबा, wisdom टा देखिबा, truth टा देखिबा. On the other hand, living entities and creatures are such that they are not able to discern the reality, and in trying to do so, they are perplexed and confused. सेमानकु से beauty टा दिसिबनी. Our energy of ignorance, it reigns widely in the world of men, which makes them do things which they would not do otherwise. परिस्थिति रे पढ़ी ये रे पढ़ी गोटे conflicting situation रे पढ़ी के एडा को पढ़ी जोटा कि normally मु करि न. there are few energies, और वो energy टा को हमें life रे बेसी अनुभव करिया को चेष्टा करिबा. And apart from that, it also talks about 8 mystic perfections that are told by Lord Krishna, that is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. And it says that the first of the 8 mystic perfections is called Anima, and comprises becoming the smaller than the smallest. It is not only a physical quality or power, but implies the attribute of humanity. ମୁଁ କେତେ ଛୋଟ ହେଇପାରିବି, କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ, କେତେ ଛୋଟ ହେଇକି ମୁଁ ଅନୁଭବ କରିପାରିବି। ତେଣୁ you are, it's like a state of humility. ତମେ ତମର ଇଗୋ ତମ ସେଲ୍ଫ ଟାକୁ ପୁରା ଅଡେଇ ଦଉଛ। ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ଇଜ ମହିମା, becoming greater than the greatest. And it is not just physical power, it is again the capacity of the sage, to tower over ordinary man due to depth and clarity. More knowledge, more केतिकी clarity अछि जे मु महिमा हेइ परिबी। हमरे महिमा जणको कहूछु माने it's about that perfection. Third, Loghima, becoming lighter than the lightest. Kete light heइ परिबी। It's not just the ability to walk ki, over water ki केमती light हेइ परिबी। It is about, it is about your mood, your temperament. You are developing certain spiritual practices that can create a certain mood in you. Being buoyant. I am bubbling with energy. That is a thing. Then the next is prapti. It is acquiring anything that one desires. Kota mu prapta kariparibi. This again comprises not only being able to, get material things that they desire. It also refers to the fact that the yogi can get anything he desires, but he desires nothing. ମୁଁ ଯାହା ଚାହିଁବି ପ୍ରାପ୍ତ କରିପାରିବି, ସେଇଠୁ ପ୍ରାପ୍ତି। କିନ୍ତୁ ମୋର ଆଉ କିଛି ଡିଜାୟାର ସେ ନାହିଁ, ସେଇ ଷ୍ଟେଟ କୁ ଯୋଉ ଯିବି ପାଇପାରିବି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ନାହିଁ ପାଇବା ପାଇଁ। ମୁଁ ସେଟା ସବୁ ଡିଜାୟାର୍ସ କୁ ମୁଁ କରିକି କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ କରିକି, କିମ୍ବା ମୁଁ ସେଟାକୁ କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ ଅଛି ଓଭର ମାଇସେଲ୍ଫ। This mystic perception is prakamya, in which any object can be enjoyed. This is, a very real mental power, but it also refers to the fact that the yogi has the power of concentration and imagination, and becomes acute in such accomplished way. So, মানে ଗୋଟେ power of concentration and imagination এই মাত্রাରେ ଅଛି যে I will be in a state to enjoy anything. Then Isita is the ability to manipulate Maya itself and create cities and palaces in the field of conscious reality. On the other hand, it means that such a yogi understands the lures of Maya and is not trapped in them. Maya is the power to keep even the best yogis prevent their spiritual progress. हमें सब जगह बहुत संसार माया किंवा से माया जाल रे फसी गला। तेनु तमर एमिति इसिताटा गोटे एक प्रकार स्टेट जोथरे से माया टाकू भी तमे ट्रैक कर परिबो, से कोन तमु ट्रैक। Then the perfection of Patanjali yogis, that is called Vasita, which implies yogi has gone beyond Sattva, Rajas, Tama and Dhyana. It is like overcoming three material modes, and yet the yogi is not trapped. Good, bad, एक थ्रू both उद्धरे से कौनसी हम material ये रे नहीं है। Last, Siddhi or yogi, it gets from Patanjali yoga. It's the ability to do anything from anywhere. जोठी बसी की जोठी चाहेंगे किसी भी कर दी पारे। सेटा होची सिद्धि, सिद्ध प्राप्त करेगा। So although the question of ability to materialize is obvious, it is also pertinent to know that what arena of power that the yogi has. It's a highest kind of a spiritual realization. So basically, even when you talk about certain uh, types of what you say actions or certain types of people among the devotee, you will see that there are three types. Sattvika guna thiba katha, rajasika guna, tamasika guna. Sattvika guna have, it pertains to purity of purpose, and these are God-fearing people. They don't want to fight, don't want to compete for anything. They don't claim superiority. Pride nahi, humility achi. Rajasika hochhanti, they are hedonistic. They indulge in, all kinds of, it's like, the worldly desire is still there for them. Tamasika are lazy, indolent. So, there can be three states. Every act has to be analyzed as to what guna it is there in me. So that's how you tend to talk about your devotees in these three different ways. And Sreda also points out that there are four divisions of society according to Gita. There can be intellectuals, there has to be administrators, there have to be merchants and laborers. And these divisions of labor are not determined by birth. They are not determined, not the caste system validated them. It is like, you know, it is like through your karma, it is through your work. It is, you will see that when one becomes a high official by merit and not by work enough. You know, these three modes of material nature, Rajasika, Tamasika, Sattvika, may call you. Social classes have had, they also have their presence in that. And it is about what you do, how you carry out your karma. Through it, you will have, you know, you will belong to that kind of class. So briefly, we try to, you know, discuss the essence of the Hare Krishna movement. And now I will take up the next uh, movement, that was Radha Swami Satsang. Now, if you look at this Radha Swami Satsang, it has a background of spirituality, and it's concerned not specifically with a particular religion, which has certain canons of rituals, but it tries to make a distinction between religion and spirituality. Because satsang, you know, when you talk about santumat, it is about the inner practices, the spiritual qualities, the traits that you have, and it doesn't specifically pertain to religion. You know, religion on the other hand would be a body that you know, of rites, rituals, beliefs, which you know, which would be more outwardly than inwardly. So even though, you know, both are related, there is a relationship of inner and outer between spirituality and religion. The inner of religion is actually spirituality, and in case of spirituality, the inner core uh, is uh, is being actually recovered by this Santmat, which they believe that it's the core of any religion. So Sant is not in conflict with any religion or any specific religion. What it is trying to do, it is trying to uh, what you say, trigger uh, the spiritual movement, a kind of a, you know, spiritual movement, popularize it among the masses so that people can stay inclined towards spirituality rather than being ritualistic, which we tend to become while practicing any religion. You will see that you know, these spiritual movements are like other institutions, and the disciples are always encouraged to serve the master so that, you know, they can carry forward the movement. And here you are asked to surrender your body and soul completely to the master, and it is a type of a movement that has total allegiance to, you know, to what is expected as in case of secret societies. You will see that the master, what is law? You know, what the guru says, that becomes a law in itself. And another important aspect of these spiritual communities is that there is a great emphasis on satsang, that is the sangha, a company of followers or disciples. This is where, you know, they try to socialize the disciples uh, you know, into talking about wonders, achievements that was possible with the help of Sant Mat. They try to, you know, propagate this kind of spiritual belief, and it has the meaning. You know, it does follow a hierarchical ladder, and mostly these members are strictly vegetarian. They stay away from meat, alcohol, or any kind of drugs. And if you're talking about their lifestyle, you will see that this Radha Swami Mat or the Satsang is mostly found in Bias, Punjab. There are two other Radha Swami Satsangs in Agra, UP, at Swami Bagh and Dayal Bagh, respectively. You will see that this Swami Bhag Radha Swami Satsang, it doesn't believe in proselytizing or converting. The number is limited. So one of the important factors, features here is that they don't believe in converting, and they carry on with their limited followers, and they stick to their own practices. Here, the emphasis is on the living master, and as I told you, like the Hare Krishna movement or the transcendental meditation, the idea of a guru is extremely important here, and the focus is on a living guru. See, Guru Jana ko vanchit hibe, and you will see that Maharaja Charan Singh of Radha Swami Satsang. Uh, is a way of God realization. By living in the body, the effects of which it impacts upon the daily life of the aspirant. The see the godlike qualities in the guru itself, and it provides certain practical training in spirituality. Charan Singh notes that satsang is not a religion because it doesn't have a fixed outward signs, ki symptoms like priesthood, temple, something is not. Yeah, but they just, it's like a community of followers, people who follow one particular belief system. So basically, when I'm talking about this particular satsang, it is limited to certain belief patterns. You have certain practices like dhyana, hela, darshan, initiation, diksha, nava, some reflection on certain dogmas and rituals, and it's not, taken as a major form of religion in the world. It, as I told you, it has a very limited followers. It doesn't believe in proselytizing, and the method consists of turning attention inward. How to realize spirituality within myself. As I told you right from the beginning, it has become. They have made it very clear that religion and spirituality are two different things, and spiritual religion would lose its essence if there isn't any spirituality. So here basically they are trying to they're trying to regenerate the spirituality, and you may be of different religion, you may have different religions, but if you are a member of this satsang, you tend to imbibe some of the what you say, some of the trainings that they have imparted to their disciples. So here it is like, you're trying to look into yourself. You're living in the world, and you have certain responsibilities, say, towards your family, your friends, your community. And here the Santmat points out that all misery in the world are because, because of the pain that you are living with, because there is a separation of mind and the supreme self of God. We all tend to, we don't mingle the intellect of the mind with the supreme cult of God. We believe that these are two separate entities, and that's the reason this Radha Swami Satsang, it says that the real home is not the home that you are talking about, the material world that you are talking about. It's you have to, look into yourself. It follows correctly and logically within the belief system that unless separation from the supreme is bridged, if you have not bridged the gap that is between you and the almighty, then completely sorrow and misery cannot be eliminated. You have to bridge the gap, then you will see. So they have different methods of taking their followers to a new spiritual height, and that is through repetition of the name of the supreme, and this practice is called simran. Jete thora hame bhagwan ko naam naba. As ever, the idea of repeating the names of God is to make a vibration. Body re gote vibration सृष्टि हुए, and it is like a close synchronization with the ultimate vibration of God. It a good technique. Next technique is that is taught is meditation on the form of the master, who is in fact, who is the representative of God on earth. the guru that they have. Guru is like the representative of God. We have to look at the guru as the master, as the God. And meditation on the form of the master also means that the radiant quality of the master, when meditated upon, creates great spiritual waves. So it creates a spiritual wave in, uplifting your mind, your body, takes you to a state of complete happiness. Third technique is called unstruck sound, or the word that creates spiritual alignment with the spiritual current that is moving through the body. ଗୋଟେ connection ମୁଁ link କରିବାକୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଛି, ଗୋଟେ spiritual alignment that is moving through my body, and ଏଇ ଯୋଉ sound ଟା, it has a melodic aspect. It will wash away ସବୁ impurity ମୋ mind ରୁ ପୁରା ଧୋଇଦବ, ମତେ spiritually ଗୋଟେ higher state କୁ ନେଇଯିବ. So, with the help of these techniques, it believes that it can free, the soul from its bondages, and you will be spiritually enlightened. It has, this Radha Swami Satsang was actually founded by Siv Dayal Singh or Swamiji. It is not Swami, it is Swami. And he was the first one to introduce this new spiritual discipline in Agra in 1861. ये जो स्पिरिचुअल मेथड टाକୁ କୁହାଗଲା ସୁରତ ଶବ୍ଦ योगा और योगा ऑफ द साउंड करेंट, तो साउंड करेंट को नेकी केमती योगा कराଯିବ. Through the Surat Sab Yoga, the spirit is able to concentrate all its energies for spiritual life and spiritual liberation. So, you will see that uh, this the masters or the guru, they are recognized by the branch of Radha Swami faith, and according to the masters, Radha Swami is divided into two names, that is Radha and Swami. And Radha is like the Atma, and Swami is the name given to the Lord. So Radha Swami teachings are those of a way, a path for realizing the secret. Through certain methods, we'll have to realize the idea of God. And this Seth Siddhayal Singh, uh, he was who actually had started it. Uh, he had actually, taken up this practice of cleansing you know, one's spirit, one's soul, so that it can be liberated. And if you look at the idea of formation of these individual satsangs, they were formed by close disciples of the Swami Maharaj, including Radhaji's wife, Rai Saligram, Pratap Singh. There were many. I'm not going into the details of it. And we have so many important gurus. Like you have gurus in Sikhism, the 10 gurus in Sikhism. We also find that in Radha Swami followers, they have been influenced by, by many religions. They have been influenced by Sikhism. They have been mostly, basically since it had its origin from Punjab region, it had an influence of Granth Sahib on it. And here you will see that uh, you know, uh, they did not actually try to bring parallels with mainstream Sikhism, nor is there any attempt to bring up comparisons in their movement. And as that, you will also see some gurus here. The role of gurus is also important, as you have in Sikhism. So you have Babaji Maharaj, who was established in Dera in Bias. He had built a tiny shanty, and he was Babaji died in 1900, and he propagated the philosophy and teachings of the monk. His monk was really very popular. Then you have Savan Singh and Charan Singh. Savan Singh, he lived till 90 years of age. He gave away his personal and private property, in his will of his family to these religious place, and he also, contributed a lot to this movement. You have Guru Gurinder Singh also. He was his contribution was there in streamlining the administrations of the satsang रे केमती कोन चलिबो केमती ये हबो केउ को methods रे ये करिबो you know uh, it also has a long list of gurus who have contributed, and as I told you earlier, role of guru is taken to be extremely important in these kind of satsangs. And here you will see that uh, many have expressed that in order to have a uh, have a what you say pure soul, you need to undergo certain rigorous training. And whenever we are talking about physical death, you will see that uh, you know mostly these for these gurus, we believe that they have been liberated. We never we take this idea of a physical death in a separate way whenever we talk about these things. uh, you will see that it's about purification of mind from all desires, from all kind of worldly beliefs. And it is the teaching of these gurus who is trying to keep an alignment of your inner spiritual self with this cosmic world. Then there is this word about Naam, or word which is very important in these Radha Swami Dham. And uh, this word is it's like a vehicle through which a devotee meditates upon and tries to attain liberation. The word came into existence without any external agency, and as we have said earlier, that in the New Testament, it's written that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the and that's how we similarly this Radha Swami movement, it attaches most importance to this Naam, or this word, which has created everything. Taking into consideration, if you any cosmic event, any cosmic phenomena, or a single atom or element, everything has been created by God. So that is the ultimate word. And according to this philosophy, the power of what it has created, many powers, including God. And each of them, they have their own meaning, their own function. So whenever we talk about human soul has its own, goal of liberation. We all, undergo certain process. So that's what this Radha Swami satsang is actually all about, cleansing the inner self. We just have 20 minutes left, so I will move into the next religious movement, that was the Sai Baba of Sirdi. Because now today, it's one of the most popular uh, what do you say religious movements across the world, and there are so many charitable trusts which are responsible in disseminating the teachings of Sirdi Sai Baba. And you will see that this uh, Sai Baba at Sirdi, the trust form, which is called Sai Baba Sanstha. It was created in 1922, and it was the sole purpose was to spread the teachings of Sai Baba. And from 1922 onwards, this Sansthan, it worked in various ways to help the devotees of Sai Baba. And thus, by 1990, there was a large building uh, which could house around 3,500 at a time. It has about 560 rooms for their devotees. And today you have people moving into these spaces from all parts of the world. Uh, Sirdi, the temple, it's nothing but the temple is Baba's Samadhi, which was built with marble slabs, and It has its own beauty. And just behind the samadhi, you will find two pillars of silver with elaborate designs. At the back of the samadhi, there is the idol of Baba sculpted in Italian marble. It was installed in 1954. And you will also see that the temple worship, it begins exactly at 5 in the morning and goes on for 5 hours. They have various rituals which are observed all over the day. And Thursday is considered to be important କାରଣ ଥର୍ସଡେଟା ହଉଛି ବାବାଙ୍କର ଜନ୍ମଦିନ। ବାବାଙ୍କୁ ଗୋଟେ ପାଲିକିରେ ନେଇକି ତାଙ୍କୁ ବୁଲାଯାଏ। And you will see that you know one of the important landmark in Sirdi is the Dwarkamali. This is, at the left side of the Samadhi Mandir, and this is the place that Sai Baba lived in during his lifetime. Baba जो घरे रही सेटा हमें द्वारकामाई बोली कहू, and this was often seen as a scene of healing. ଯେତିକି ବି ତାଙ୍କ ସେଣ୍ଟଲି ପାୱାର ଥିଲା ଯୋଉ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଭଲ କରୁଥିଲେ ସେଇ ପ୍ଲେସ ରେ ସେ କରୁଥିଲେ। ସୋ ସାଇ ବାବା ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦ୍ୱାରକା ମେରେ ଆସିଥିଲେ ସେଟା ଗୋଟେ ଡିଲାପିଡେଟେଡ ମସ୍ ଥିଲା, ଭଙ୍ଗାରୁଜା ଅବସ୍ଥାରେ ଥିଲା। And Dwarka May today, it has a large stone on which Sai Baba sat, and also there is a portrait of Sai Baba. There are two rooms, out of which it has a chariot and the second has a palanquin. In the room where the chariot is housed, there is a small temple. At the second level, you will find that there is a stone pool on which Baba took his bath. No, Baba जो जिनसोड़ा को use करते थे, ताकि नहीं कि वे कुछ temple रे सजा जाएगी। You have certain oil paintings of Baba. Then there is this important place called Gurusthana. It relates to the fact that Baba came in as a teenager. से जगह को एक teenager लेके आस्ते ले, से को एक निम्बो का चिकाले बसे थे, जितना लोग ताकि प्रथम थोड़ा देखी थी। That area is known as Gurusthan. And the last innovation took place in 1941. Gurusthan also has a small sign. It has placed the photo of Sai Baba, and there is a bull Nandi in front of it. Close by you will have Baba's sleeping place, that is Chabhadi, and the wooden bed and a chair that belonged to Baba. Out a landmark kochi Lenvi Gardens, which are laid out by Sai Baba himself in the early years of Seva. He spent a lot of time in gardening. से garden टा राजा बाबा के बंचित थे ताको निज time रे से खुला खुली करी कि से लगा रही करते, and that has been maintained. Sai Baba का life टा भी बहुत अद्भुत। If you outline the life of Sai Baba, it indicates that he was quite extraordinary. He inspired people all over the world to lead a spiritual life, and से बहुत ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ ବୟସରେ ଶିରଡି କୁ ଆସିଥିଲେ first time 1854 ରେ। Then he left Sirdi and and returned with a marriage procession 1858 ରେ, and then loved it। ଆଉ ତାପରେ ସେ ଗଲେନି। କିଛି ପ୍ରପର ଆକାଉଣ୍ଟ ନାହିଁ କି ତାଙ୍କ ଫ୍ୟାମିଲି କୋଉଠି, ସେ କୋଉଠି ଜନ୍ମ ନେଇଥିଲେ, କୋଉ ଜାତିର ଥିଲେ, କେହି ଜାଣିନଥାନ୍ତି। What was clear to all that he came in contact with extraordinary spiritual powers, compassion, बहुत दयालु, and लोगों को heal करिवार ability ताଙ୍କର ଥିଲା। Baba entered Shirdi as an ordinary person. To marriage procession रे आसिଥିଲେ, he was not known to anyone. Yet in Shirdi, people began to address him as Sai, the savior. Sai माने savior. And Baba is an expression used for the spiritually evolved person. So, she spiritually बहुत evolved थी। Sai Baba तांको नाम रही। Baba, when he was first noticed near the village boundary, and he was sitting under the neem tree. The nimbo gacha tale basiଥିଲେ, and that is how he stayed there, and he became a part of Shirdi forever. At the beginning of his stay, he was detached and self-absorbed, walking on the boundaries of the village. Meditate he never used to look into anything else. Gradually, some of the city villages began to give him saintly recognition, regarded him highly. One of the extraordinary devotees was a lady called Bayaji Bai, who used to press down Baba in the jungle near the village and urge and force him to eat from what she has found. खोजी जंगल रे थिले का मुझे खोजी के बाहर करथिले ଗୋଟେ motherly affection ଥିଲା ତାଙ୍କର towards Baba, and she went on for a while until the compassion of Baba made him shift from jungle to that ancient broken mosque. ସେଇ ତାଙ୍କ compassion ଦେଖିକି love ଦେଖିକି ବାବା ସେ ଜଙ୍ଗଲରୁ ସେ ଯୋଉ ଭଙ୍ଗା mosque କୁ ଫେରି ଆସିଲେ ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆମେ ଏବେ ଦ୍ୱାରକାମୟୀ ବୋଲି କହୁଛୁ। ଦ୍ୱାରକାମୟୀ ମାନେ abode of Lord Krishna। ମାନେ ଏଠି ଗୋଟେ syncretic element ଅଛି ଶିବଙ୍କର ଇଏରେ। It belongs to all religion। ମାନେ ଏଥିରେ ତମେ ହିନ୍ଦୁ କି ଖ୍ରୀଷ୍ଟିଆନ କି ମୁସଲିମ ଏମିତି କିଛି ଦେଖିବନି। That's a syncretic religion. And you will see that you know Baba used to you will have that contrary to the expectation of Sai Baba, he was not simply an ascetic saint, but ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ every human element ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଥିଲା। younger days ରେ ସେ ଗୋଟେ young teenager ହିସାବରେ ବହୁତ wrestling କରୁଥିଲେ, ସେ anklets ପିନ୍ଧିକି dance କରୁଥିଲେ। in the company of devotees Sai Baba ମାନେ ପୁରା ନାଚି ନାଚିକା ପୁରା ecstatic form କୁ ପଳାନ୍ତି divine joy ରେ। he used to sing in Persia, Arabic, Kabir Sant Kabir ଗୀତ ଗାଆନ୍ତି। ଆଉ ସାଇ ବାବାଙ୍କର ଯେମିତି ଡ୍ରେସ ଦେଖି ଗୋଟେ ଲଙ୍ଗ କୁର୍ତ୍ତା କାଫନି ପିନ୍ଧିଥାନ୍ତି, ରାପ୍ ମୁଣ୍ଡଟା ବାନ୍ଧିଥାନ୍ତି, and his habits were very simple. So ଗୋଟେ ଫକୀରର look and at the same time ଗୋଟେ ଫକୀର ଯେମିତି ଖାଲି ବସୁଛି ଖାଲି ମେଡିଟେଟ୍ କରୁଛି, you will not find those things. You will find that energy in him. ଗୋଟେ mesmeric personality who could attract all his devotees. And if you talk about his behavior, he was extremely compassionate, and he manifested in rage which was divinely inspired and succeeded like a rage ରାଗି ବି ଯାଉଥିଲେ ପୁରା ହଠାତ୍ ରାଗିଯିବେ କିନ୍ତୁ ପୁରା ଥଣ୍ଡା ବି ହେଇଯିବେ। and ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ divine manifestation ଥିଲା was not the anger of a common man. He would not lose his temper, and his mood was already preoccupied with saving his devotees. ସବୁବେଳେ ତାଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ହିଁ ଆଉଟଲୁକ୍ ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ହିଁ ଚିନ୍ତାଧାରା ଥିଲା ଯେ devotees ମାନଙ୍କୁ କେମିତି ସିଏ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଉଦ୍ଧାର କରିବେ। ତେଣୁ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ ଦୁଃଖ ହଉଛି ତାଙ୍କର ଦୁଃଖ। and he used to go to various houses in Sydney ଭିକ ମାଗିକି କୋଉଠି begging alms he would lead his life, and he never stored food। ସେ କେବେ food ନିଜ ପାଇଁ store କରୁନଥିଲେ, କୋଉଠି ନା କୋଉଠି ତାଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ଆସିଯାଉଥିଲା। he kept a fire burning, and in that sacred fire ଯୋଉ ଧୂନି ଆମେ କହୁ, of which the ashes were of medicinal values। ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ସବୁବେଳେ ସେ ଯୋଉ ନିଆଁଟା ଜଳୁଥିଲା, ସେ ଯୋଉ ତାର ଯୋଉ ପାଉଁଶଟା ତାର ମେଡିସିନାଲ ଭ୍ୟାଲ୍ୟୁଜ ଥିଲା, ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆମେ ଏବେ ବାବାଙ୍କର ବିଭୂତି କହିକି ଲଗଉ ମଥାରେ। he would also get dakshina in terms of money, and but he was completely detached from everything। he never kept money or dakshina for his purpose। ଯାହା ବି ପାଇବେ ସେ ତାକୁ ନିଡି ଯୋଉମାନେ ଅସୁବିଧାରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ଡିଷ୍ଟ୍ରିବ୍ୟୁଟ କରିଦେବେ, ପାଣି ଗଛରେ ପାଣି ଦେବେ, ସେ ଗାର୍ଡେନ ଟାକୁ ଇଏ କରିବେ। ଗୋଟେ କମନ ମ୍ୟାନ ର ଯୋଉ ଜିନିଷ ଥିଲା you will find everything in Baba। Further, Baba did not have any discrimination against any caste, class, and freely shared his clay pipe। ଚିଲ୍ଲମ ଟାଣନ୍ତି, ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ସେଟା ଦିଅନ୍ତି, କୌଣସି କେବେ ଡିସ୍କ୍ରିମିନେଟରୀ ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିସ ତାଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ନଥିଲା। ଯେତିକି ଫକୀର ଭିଜିଟର୍ସ ଆସିଲେ ତାଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ରୋଷେଇ କରୁଥିଲେ। and Sai Baba actually he was not very enthusiastic about being worshipped, and today you have still you will have these devotees from across different class, different caste groups, different religion, rich poor, ସମସ୍ତେ ବାବାଙ୍କର ଭକ୍ତ ହେବେ। and you will see that today Baba is no longer there, but his teachings are still going strong among his devotees. Day by day, the number of his devotees are increasing, and Baba especially stressed on very simple and pure way of living, and he assured that his devotees would be having no calamities in their house, in their domestic life, And he pointed out this assurance that was given by Sri Krishna in Gita. He stressed that he was in touch with his devotees. ସେ ସବୁବେଳେ ତାଙ୍କ devoteesଙ୍କ touch ରେ ଥାନ୍ତି and କାହାକୁ ତାଙ୍କ devoteesକୁ କଷ୍ଟ ହେଲେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ବହୁତ କଷ୍ଟ ହେବ. So he was what you say an embodiment of all divine and you know, he declared that search for him should be, should not be outward worship. It should be ritualistic practice ଦେଇକି ତାଙ୍କୁ ଖୋଜୁନ. ଜଣେ ମନେ ପକେଇ ଦେଲେ ବାବାଙ୍କୁ ଜଣେ ପାଇପାରିବ. ଆଉ ତାଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି ବହୁତ anecdotes, ବହୁତ stories ଅଛି. କେମିତି ବାବା ଉଦ୍ଧାର କରିଛନ୍ତି ଜଷ୍ଟ ମନେ ପକେଇ ଦେଲେ ବାବା ସେ ଲୋକ ପାଖରେ ପହଞ୍ଚି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି କି ଆପଣ ଗୋଟେ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ ତାକୁ ପହଞ୍ଚି ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି. There are so many stories. এই stories କୁ ନେଇକି ହିଁ ସାଇ ବାବା cult ବହୁତ ବଢିଛି. And people realized his presence in every way. And Baba left his body in 1918, but his spiritual self still continues to help people. କେହି କେବେ କହିବେନି ଯେ ବାବା ଆଉ ନାହାନ୍ତି. There is this story of a devotee called Narayan Rao, ଯାହାଙ୍କୁ ବାବା ଦିଥର ଦର୍ଶନ ଦେଇଥିଲେ when he was alive. 3 years had lapsed after Baba left the body in 1918 when his devotee fell ill and almost died. No medicine, no treatment could actually come to his relief. And Narayan Rao started praying Baba and started meditating on him continuously. And then one night, Narayan Rao had a dream that Baba gave him darshan and the assurance that he would be well again and no longer he would be bedridden. So, thereafter he started getting well, se chali parile. So, ଏମିତି ବହୁତ extraordinary events ହେଇଛି ଲୋକଙ୍କ ସହିତ. ସାଇ ବାବାଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ଖାଲି ସେମାନେ spiritual attainment through meditation through chanting ଏମିତି କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି. ସେ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଆସିକି help କରିଛନ୍ତି ବୋଲି ଲୋକଙ୍କର ବିଶ୍ୱାସ. And people feel his presence. ତେଣୁ it is always said that till today he miraculously cures his devotees and he makes a connection with his divine status through his ordinary devotees and he always advocates that the needy should be treated well and khatiyo pani jemti daba katha diya jau and nobody should be treated harshly. He had immense love for everyone, for animals, for all kinds of creatures. And if you look at some of the assurances that Baba gave, that he said that no harm should befall him who sets his foot on the soil of Sirdi. ଗୋଟେ କଥା କହିଥିଲେ ଯେ ଶିରଡିର ମାଟିରେ ଯିଏ ଥରେ ପାଦ ଦେଲା ତା ଉପରେ କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ହବନି. He who commit to the samadhi, his sorrows and suffering shall cease. ଓ ବାଟରେ ସେଟା ଅଲଗା କଥା, but it will cease. ତମେ ଯିଏ ସେଇ ସମାଧିକୁ ଥରେ ଦର୍ଶନ ଦେଇଛି. Through I be no more in flesh and blood, though I will be no more in flesh and blood, I shall ever protect my devotees. ମୁଁ ବଞ୍ଚେ କି ମରେ ଥାଏ ମୁଁ କିନ୍ତୁ ମୋ devotees କୁ protect କରୁଥିବି. Trust me, your prayers will be answered. You now turn to the assurance. Know that my spirit is immortal. ମୁଁ କେବେ ମରିନି and I am always there for you. Sows unto me who sought refuge and been turned away. He points out that he has been always compassionate and he doesn't turn away anybody. ଯିଏ ଯେତେ ଯାହା କରୁ ଗୋଟେ ପାପୀ ହେଲେ ବି ବାବା ତାକୁ chance ଦେବେ. In whatever faith men worship me, even I do render to them. जो भी धर्मर लोक पूजा कले बाबा tries to address him. Not in vain my promise that I shall ever lighten your burden. ମୁଁ ସବୁବେଳେ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରମିସ୍ କରୁଛି ଯେ I will try to lighten all your burden. Knock the door, knock and the door shall open. ଯେବେ ବି କବାଟ ବାଡେଇବ କବାଟ ତମ ପାଇଁ ଖୋଲା. କେବେ ବି ବାବାଙ୍କର ଦ୍ୱାର ବନ୍ଦ ହବନି. Whoever you might be. Then to him who surrenders to me totally, I shall ever be indebted. ଯିଏ ବି ମତେ ପୁରା ପୁରି ସରେଣ୍ଡର କରିଛି ମୁଁ ସବୁବେଳେ ତା ପାଇଁ ରହିଛି ମୁଁ ସବୁବେଳେ indebted ତା ପାଇଁ. So, these are some of the assurances that still the devotees of Baba follow. And as I told you, there are numerous stories, stories that tell about the early disciples who have gathered in Sirdi and how Baba could actually, cleanse their mind or, take away their pains, their suffering. And There is one that relates to Hemad Pant that's around 1910, and he went to the masjid in Sydney, and he saw that Sai Baba was, grinding wheat with a pestle. So he was present and wondered what Baba was doing. He was grinding wheat with a pedal, and the news of this happening spread to the village, and people gathered to see that Baba was ଗହମ କୁଟୁଛନ୍ତି. And in fact, a few women forced that ଆମେ କରିଦବୁ, and pushing Baba away to grind the wheat and singing Baba's Leelas. They felt that since Baba has no offspring or relatives, they might be the beneficiary of the huge quantity of ground floor, and began dividing the floor into different portions. Baba, who had been watching these proceedings, now intervened and told the women that the floor was spread on the borders of the village. से जो village रो border रे से जो ଅଟାଟାକୁ ବୁଣିଥିଲେ. Later on it was found that cholera epidemic spread କରିଥିଲା. ଆଉ ବାବା ଯୋଉଠି ଯୋଉଠି ସେ ଯୋଉ ଅଟା ବୁଣିଥିଲେ ତା beyond କୁ ଆଉ ସେ epidemic ଆସି ପାରିଲାନି. So it was a remarkable thing which was you know it was heard by oral tradition. This story has come up, and ଯେବେ ବି ବାବା ଏମିତି କିଛି ଇଏ କରନ୍ତି ଲୋକଙ୍କର anxiety ବଢିଯାଏ ଆଉ ଲୋକଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ବିଶ୍ୱାସ ପଳେଇ ଆସେ ବାବାଙ୍କ ଇଏ ଉପରେ. And then ବହୁତ cases of telepathy ରହିଛି ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି ମାନେ ଭକ୍ତ ଡାକିବ ବାବା ପୁରା ଶୁଣିକି ସେଠିକି ପଳେଇ ଆସି ପାରିଥିବେ ମାନେ without any telephone or internet connection. So this has always made these stories have always been moving around. ଆଉ ବହୁତ ଏମିତି documented ହେଇଛି ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ miracles. That's the reason today, still today, we talk about the miracles and parables. As such ଆମେ ସେମିତି କିଛି ଗୋଟେ dictum ରେ କି ଇଏରେ କହୁନୁ ଯେମିତି ସବୁ religion ର ଗୋଟେ strict guideline ଥାଏ ବାବାଙ୍କର ସେମିତି କିଛି ନାହିଁ ଯିଏ ଆସିପାରିବ ଆସ ଯିଏ ଯେମିତି କରିପାରିଲା ଯିଏ ଯେମିତି ତାଙ୍କୁ ଅଫରିଂ ଦେଲା ସେ ସେଟା ଗ୍ରହଣ କରିବେ ଯିଏ ଯେମିତି ପୂଜା କରିପାରିଲା ଯୋଉ ବାଟରେ ଯିଏ ଯୋଉ religion ରେ ହେଇଥାଉ ତେଣୁ if you look at his cult you will just find so many stories associated with it. You will see that there are two miraculous dreams. There was this person called Bhimaji. He was staying at Bhima Bhai's house, and Baba induced in him two dreams, which were a vehicle to cure him. In one dream, Bhimaji witnessed himself as a boy who was being flogged for not writing a poetry lesson before his teacher. Second dream caused Bhimaji extreme pain, torture. That he with feeling the heavy stone being rolled down his chest. With this pain in dreams, Bhimaji's cure was complete and he went home completely cured. He became a staunch devotee. ଦିଟା ସ୍ୱପ୍ନ ଦେଲେ ଆଉ ସେ ଦିଟା ସ୍ୱପ୍ନରେ ପଡେ ସେ ପୁରା ଭଲ ହେଇଗଲେ. So there are so many stories. ଆମେ ସାଇ ବାବାଙ୍କର ଯଦି ଇଏରେ ଦେଖିବା, it's just full of stories, and that is what it appeals to the masses, the poor. ଯୋଉମାନେ ଏତେ intellectually ଏତେ spiritual କଥା ମୋର ବୁଝିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ. Through these stories, I am able to, capture the essence of Sai Baba's preaching. And he often pointed out that, you know, uh, a Brahman, you cannot be a Brahman in a single life. It is not about caste. And he actually said that, there has to be a desire for spiritual freedom. So, you desire that, you cannot be, a Brahman khali spiritual freedom over, that is not the case. And you have to look inward. You have to, throw away your sins. You have to have a right conduct. You have to adhere to your dharma. And lies, you have to do away with all kinds of lies. ମିଛ କହିବନି ତମେ ତମର ମାଇଣ୍ଡ ଆଉ ସେନ୍ସେସ୍ କୁ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ କରିବ and then you will you, you will be successful in realizing the Brahma. So basically what I'm trying to say that he was an ordinary person and today he has a following globally in India, all over the world, and people across different castes, different groups, different dhani gariba, everyone is a fan of Baba. The reason being that, you know, he, it is through his miracles, ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ଗପ ଏଗୁଡାକ ଶୁଣିକି ହିଁ ଲୋକ ସେ ଯୋଉ values ପାଉଛନ୍ତି. There is nothing more to it. There is no high spiritual dialogue or heavy ideas of spirituality. For Baba, it is through these simple tales that he has been able to propagate his ideas, and even after his death, the cult is going more and more stronger. And the Shirdi Sai Baba is one of the most popular cults, and people follow him blindly across different communities, and because of the simplicity of that religion. ତମେ ଯୋଉ ରିଲିଜିୟନ ରୁ ଯାହା ହଉ ଏଇଟା କରିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ, ସେଇଟା କରିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ, ଏତେ ଅସ୍ପିସିୟସ୍ ଇଏ ହବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ, ଏତେ ଅସ୍ଟିରିଟି ମେଣ୍ଟେନ କରିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ. ଜଷ୍ଟ ୟୁ ଫିଲ୍ ହିମ୍ ଥ୍ରୁ ହିଜ୍ ହାର୍ଟ. That's it. That is enough. And through his simple stories, ଯେତିକି miracle ତାଙ୍କର ଯଦି ପଢିବ ଖାଲି ଗପ ଆଉ miracle ପାଇବ. It is through these stories and miracles you are able to realize Baba. ମତେ ମାନେ ଗୀତା ପଢିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ କି ଏତେ ବଡ ବଡ ବହି ପଢିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ କି କିଛି ବଡ spirituality ର heavy ଇଏ ଶୁଣିବା ଦରକାର ନାହିଁ. It is just a realization through love. So that's about the new religious movement. Three or four, I think. Four different religious movements we covered today. If you have any questions, you can put forth, or we can just wind up. Thank you all. So, Santosh sir, we are winding up.
So, thank you very much, ma'am. For our busy schedule, you are giving a time. No doubt today is a very tough day because Raja has started. Thank you so
Yes.
much for giving a time to our learners. So, dear learners, so thank you very much. So, tomorrow MS or E4 class will start. So, once again, I thank you, ma'am, for your kind, cooperation and nice time to us. Thank you, ma'am. Wish you happy
Thank you,
Raja
sir.
once again.
Thank you, sir.
ମ୍ୟାଡାମ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍,
Go.
ଆମେ ସାଇବାବାଙ୍କ ବିଷୟରେ ଏତେ ପଢିଲେ ତ ତାଙ୍କୁ କଣ କୃଷ୍ଣ ଭଗବାନ କୃଷ୍ଣଙ୍କ ସହିତ ତୁଳନା କରିପାରିବା କି ଆମେ?
ହଁ କରିପାରିବା କହୁଛନ୍ତି, ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ତ ତାଙ୍କର ସେ ଯୋଉ ମନ୍ଦିରର ନାଁ ହେଇଛି ଦ୍ୱାରକା କମାଇ.
ଦ୍ୱାରକାମାଇ.
ଦ୍ୱାରକାମାଇ. The reason being that ଆମେ କୃଷ୍ଣଙ୍କ ସହିତ ତାଙ୍କୁ ତୁଳନା କରୁଛୁ. ସାଇବାବା କୃଷ୍ଣ ବି ହେଇପାରିବେ, ସାଇବାବା ଗୋଟେ ଇସଲାମିକ ଗଡ ହେଇପାରିବେ. ସେ କହିଛନ୍ତି ସବୁ ଭଗବାନଙ୍କ ରୂପ ତମେ ତା ଭିତରେ ପାଇବ. It's not a particular religious cult. ଏଟା ଗୋଟେ heterogeneity କୁ ସେ appeal କରିପାରିଛନ୍ତି.
କିନ୍ତୁ ସେ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାର କୋଉ ଧର୍ମରୁ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି? ତାଙ୍କର ପ୍ରଥମ ନାଁ କଣ, କୋଉ ଧର୍ମରୁ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି?
କିଛି ଜଣା ନାହିଁ, ତାଙ୍କ ବିଷୟରେ କିଛି ଜଣା ନାହିଁ. ମୁଁ ତମକୁ ତାଙ୍କ ଅରିଜିନ କହିଲି ନା, ସେ ଗୋଟେ ଜଷ୍ଟ ଛୋଟ ଶିଶୁଟେ ଯେ କି 1858 ରେ ଶିରଡି ଗାଁକୁ ଗୋଟେ ବାହାଘର ବରଯାତ୍ରୀରେ ଆସିଲେ, ସେ ସେଠି ରହିଗଲେ. ତାଙ୍କ ବିଷୟରେ କେହି ଜାଣିନାହାନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ବାପା ମା କିଏ ଥିଲେ, କଣ ଥିଲେ. ତାଙ୍କ ଆଟାୟାରରୁ ହଁ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ଲାଗେ ଟିକେ ମୁସଲିମ ଲାଇକ ଆଟାୟାର, କାରଣ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ମସଜିଦରେ ରହୁଥିଲେ, ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ ମୁସଲିମ ଏଲିମେଣ୍ଟ ସେଥିରେ ରହିଛି. ବଟ୍ ଆଟ୍ ଦ ସେମ୍ ଟାଇମ ସେ ନିଜକୁ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଭଗବାନ କୃଷ୍ଣ ବୋଲି ବି କୁହାଯାଉଛି. ତେଣୁ ଗୋଟେ ଆମେ ସିନକ୍ରେଟିଜମ କହୁ, ହିନ୍ଦୁ ମୁସଲିମ ସବୁ ମିଶିକି ରିଲିଜିୟନ ର ଗୋଟେ ମିଶ୍ରଣରୁ ସେଟା ଇଏ ହେଇଛି. ତେଣୁ ସବୁ ଜାତିରୁ ସବୁ ଧର୍ମରୁ ଲୋକ ତାଙ୍କୁ ମାନନ୍ତି.
ନା ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ମୁଁ ସାଇବାବା ସିରିଏଲ ମୁଁ ବହୁତ ଆଗରୁ ଦେଖେ, ଆଉ ମତେ ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଲାଗେ. ମୁଁ ସାଇବାବାଙ୍କୁ ବି ବହୁତ ମାନେ। ତାଙ୍କ ସିରିଏଲ ମୁଁ ଯେବେଠୁ ଦେଖୁଛି, ପ୍ରଥମରୁ ସିଏ ପ୍ରଥମେ ଆସିଥିଲେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ବାଳକ ଥିଲେ, ବାଳକ ଯୋଗୀ, ସେଇ ଟାଇମରେ ଶିରିଡି ଆସିଥିଲେ. ତାପରେ ସେ ଗୋଟେ କଣ କୁଲକର୍ଣ୍ଣି ହଜୁର, ତାଙ୍କର ସେ ଗାଁର ଯୋଉ ଶିରିଡିର ଭିଲେନ ଥିଲେ ଯିଏ କୁଲକର୍ଣ୍ଣି ହଜୁର, ସେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଗାଁରେ ପଶିବାକୁ ଦେଲେନି. ତାଙ୍କୁ ପଚାରିଲେ କଣ ପାଇଁ ଆସିଛ, ସେ କହିଲେ ମୋ ଗୁରୁ ପଠେଇଛନ୍ତି ବୋଲି. ତାପରେ ପୁଣି ତାଙ୍କୁ ଗାଁରୁ ତଡି ଦେଇଥିଲେ. ତାପରେ ସେ ଯୋଉ କଣ ମିଆ ବୋଲି ଜଣେ ମୁସଲିମ ଥିଲେ, ତାଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ବରଯାତ୍ରୀରେ ଇଏ ତାଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି ଆସିଥିଲେ। ତାଙ୍କର